Hello, everyone. With weird energy,
welcome!
Welcome to another vignette. Thank you all again for smashing that goal. This time, it's just Ella again.
Oh, good.
Ella,
last time it
all alone.
went so well for Ella by herself.
We love just putting you in a position where you have no one backing you up, no one to support you. It's Ella by herself. The way she lives, the way she dies.
Okay,
we'll see. Well, today's vignette is titled Finished Business. Let's get into it. Ella, you find yourself on the side of a dirt country road, alone, apparently in Boros. It's twilight, the sun dipping below low hills, the wind teasing the tops of vast wheat fields and dancing in the canopies of the sparse trees dotted about. This looks like somewhere in the Westlands, perhaps even somewhere in the old Khazaric Empire, but it's hard to say for sure. As you take in your surroundings, you notice, in the distance, a spot where the light doesn't fade, flickers of red and yellow. You realize it's no sunset. It's an inferno just over that hill. What do you do?
Can I take quick stock of my surroundings and see if this feels like a vision or a dream, like if it feels like fable shit or something like, how trap is this trap?
Sure. Roll me an insight check.
Ooh, yeah. Natural 1.
I saw that land and I'm just like, bless. I'll be honest, you are confused. It almost like I know it didn't, but in my memory, it just landed flat too. Like it felt like it just made a choice.
Yeah, that's what that feels like every time.
You are confused.
Yes, I am.
You know that you were just in the Spring Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
You're not delusional, but you have no idea what to make of this place. You've been transported and caromed about so many times. You can't tell if you're physically here, if this is a dream, if this is a vision, if you're awake somewhere else, but you know that what around you at least feels real, and that's all you have to go on.
I do my best to quietly make my way towards the fire then.
Great. You proceed your way down the road, and the land around you is quiet. Even in places where you might expect to see activity, you pass the odd ranch house. You pass what looks like it could be a stickball or holes court along the side of the road where kids might play, but it's all vacant. It's all empty. You crest slowly the slope, and as you reach its peak, you find yourself looking upon an entire town aflame. The sun is setting further now. The heat stings your face, but it's the wails of lament from the burned below that hurt even more. What do you do when you see this? An entire town razing to the ground.
Is it accessible to me? Like you said, like the wails from below. So am I just like up on a rise and I can go down into the?
You could just walk the gentle slope down into the town. It is a raging inferno and is quite hot, but is acceptable if you chose to approach it.
From other visions that I've had, knowing that it always ends up kind of best to follow the path of least resistance, I'm going to run into the flames.
You speedily approach the town, and the wails grow louder. The heat grows hotter on your face, and you can finally begin to make out individual people. Figures aflame, charred, stumble out from the various wreckages, stumble out from the inferno. skin melting off of their very faces, some attempting to grip onto you to hold themselves up before collapsing, occasionally leaving parts of themselves behind as their bodies, the very collagen, the cartilage, has dissolved in their bones. Out from all of this, however, as buildings begin to collapse, as the inferno rages, one figure walks confidently towards you, apparently untouched by the flame. She saunters through and approaches you, and it's only when her proximity is sufficient to no longer be blinding your eyes from the actual light of the fire that you recognize the Scion of Spring.
Light.
Yeah, go for it. You raise a hand up to cast Blight, something that would ordinarily be a save on her part, right? She approaches you, gnarled green, her skin like bark, and you raise your hand to cast Blight, and you feel just nothing. It's not even an inability to cast a spell. It's not like being in an anti-magic field where you still have access to magic, you can't just use it here. This is different. You feel empty, like you've been gutted out. Like whatever part of you was magical, you are bereft of in this place. And she just stands to regard you for a moment.
What have you done?
She looks back at the fire and moves to stand side by side with you. Would you have saved them?
I don't know.
You're a hero after all.
I haven't been a hero for a long time, sweetheart. You know that.
Oh, but in your heart, you try to do the right thing, especially now. Would you have saved them if you knew who they were? Or, knowing who they were, would you have set the flame to save someone you love?
Who are they?
They are Khazirics. Guilty? All of them? Very likely not. Some living here perhaps just as a matter of circumstance, family ties, industry, profession. Others, oh yes, they were complicit. But if you must set flame to all to protect you and yours, do you cast the innocent into perdition with the guilty? Or do you sacrifice yourself to save those who've committed no crimes, but in the same stroke allow the guilty to go free? That is a puzzle.
There were times when it wouldn't have been. Not for me. In each direction, even. There was a time when I wouldn't have caused any violence at all, no question. And there was a time where I would have caused that violence, no question, if I had known that I could have prevented suffering. If it was just in vengeance, I don't know if I would. But if there was the opportunity to stop what happened that day, in that battle, you caught me at an odd moment.
Yes,
I don't
indeed.
see things clear like that anymore.
You've been at a crossroads for some time, and yet you are becoming someone, Ella Britt. You are making choices, taking stands, because really, in a sense, you made the same choice I did. You knew the surest bet to beating me was in killing Fessala. But you couldn't do that. You wouldn't. You would risk or condemn the lives of possibly thousands for the chance of saving someone that you care about? How far does that mercy, that grace, extend? How far would you go for the ones you once loved?
I think my history speaks for itself. I have gone as far as any person can go. I have come back from the brink of death and beyond over and over, and I, the last one left. And I'm still here.
As you've been talking, the fire has slowly crept around you. You have no idea how you missed it, but you're now surrounded by the blaze. It's working up your legs, your shell, your clothing, and you see as the Scion is consumed as well, peeling and charring before you. What do you do?
I stay.
Just let it wash over you.
If she is burning, and if me staying here means that she stays burning, I stay burning.
The Scion watches you make a choice. She seems to clock your decision. And as you are both consumed by the flames, you see tears begin to run down her face. Just drips at first, and then a stream, and then a torrent as she doubles over, and all of a sudden you are consumed by a tidal flow of water. The entire fire, the blaze, everything around you is doused in a flash as you are washed over. You are plunged into infinite, murky, dark depths. The sun is faintly visible, glinting above the water surface, perhaps 30 or 40 feet above you, but now you are drowning and you are deep. What do you do?
I look around for the Scion.
You don't see her anywhere.
I panic. This is not the first or the second or the third time I've been drowning. And even though I don't technically have to breathe immediately, it's almost as though not being able to take a breath, I am drowning anyway. And I do my best to strike forward towards the light that I can see to see if I can get to the surface. You
begin paddling your way up to the surface, and you are certainly an able enough swimmer. You are a turtle, after all.
It is a little bit what I do.
And you begin making your way up, the light growing ever so brighter as you begin to close that distance. But as you do, something grabs onto your ankle, and you feel yourself yanked down. You are sinking, eye to eye with the Scion. Her hair now seaweed waving in the deep. Her eyes opalescent black like a mother of pearl. Her body, where skin once was, now looks like the wreckage of ships, flotsam and jetsam, composing her very figure around you. Her seaweed hair tied in and tangled with netting, bloody clothes. But would you have saved me? Could you? Did you even know?
Do I recognize the bloody clothes? Because I feel like I have thought about those bloody clothes every single day.
I want you to roll me history.
I have a -1 in that stat. Do I have any?
Oh no.
12.
Okay. I'd say you can't positively identify them, but they are familiar to you, as is the wreckage.
Do I just associate then the last time there was a shipwreck and bloody clothes at the very least?
Yeah, and to be fair, you've been in a few of these.
Okay, but there was...
I will say though, the clothing, the bloody clothing you see, whereas you might initially think like Nicrum's bloody clothes, it is not that shirt. The clothing still seems to not be unfamiliar to you, but it is not Nicrum's clothing. However, all of this is beginning to become more familiar in your mind. And as she speaks, again, even though you're underwater, you can hear her clear as day, as if she were speaking through air. I was a coward, happy to risk my life for my friends right up until it was time to die. And then, a bargain with a friendly voice, a deal struck in the dark, when you would offer anything to escape the pain and the fear. Can I be condemned? Would your mercy extend to me even after all I've done?
Oh no.
The water drains around you, like going down a faucet. You black out from the sputtering, from the relative lack of air, and your lungs sputter back to life. Your face flat against a polished wooden floor. Righting yourself, you find you're in a pleasant little dining room. And you know this dining room. You take in the house. You know this house. Your eyes glance out the kitchen window and alight upon a beautiful, swaying garden of night-blooming jasmine. The Scion stands at the counter with you, looking over the gardens. I had always hoped that one day, when the war was over, Fess and I would find our way back here. We'd tend the earth together, make a life for ourselves. And now Fess has found that for herself, and I'm glad I could offer her at least that, because I fear that no matter what happens now, neither of us will ever see this place again. But the one thing I don't know, the one thing I cannot remember after all this time, is my name, Ella. Who am I?
Your name, sweetheart, is Jiren.
Her eyes seem to clear for a moment in recognition. You watch as the trappings of the Scion fall away. Bark-like skin peels, braided strands of seaweed and vine return to hair, and you observe as the familiar form of Jiren stands before you. Thank you for reminding me, Ella.
What happens now?
She extends a hand to you.
Who do you belong to, Jiren? I see you as yourself now. Are you yours?
What you see around you, it is the last little part of me left. The last thing I can hold on to that reminds me of who I was, even as the details fade. But even this is a lie. And she places her hand against the counter. And you watch, radiating out from her palm. The world around you changes. The wood molds rots, falls apart. The cabinet doors lean off their hinges. The furniture, long since looted. The windows broken. Outside, soil barren. And you watch as the fields of jasmine wilt and dry and decay before your eyes. You realize this is how this place looks now, in reality, in Boros. This is truly what is left of me. At my best, this will be my legacy.
Fess is your legacy. We are your legacy. You saved all of us that day. Not just your sister. If we can save you, we will. Is there anything left?
Do I deserve that? After everything I've done.
You didn't do that.
I made the bargain.
Did you know the bargain you were entering into?
Of course not.
Then you didn't do it. And this is right back at the feet of Dew. And that thing. And I will rip them to pieces.
All of your friends might not feel the same way. I can hope beyond hope that they will, but just know that this, what you see around you now, this is what becomes of the things we love. This is what becomes of the world. A dry and dead garden, if it is not tended. I have not tended mine, and I have fought you at every attempt to tend yours. So I am not here asking for absolution. I am not here with hope. At the end of the day, you will do what you have to do. But either way, it is time that we end this. This cat and mouse. I warned you that in this place, in the wilds, Dew would have control. I have fought him, but he has regained it. I will be coming for you now.
I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry that we couldn't save you then. I will do whatever, we all will, whatever we can to save you now.
You could not have known. You never could have known. However tomorrow falls, please just tell my sister that I love her. And one day, I would hope to see her in the garden again, in this life or the next.
And I'll, out of habit, reach for my picnic basket and see if I can just pull something from it, even though nothing's real, everything's real. It's all kind of in our head anyway. And I'll pull one of those like round, almost like shortbread biscuits that I have that are usually they've got like that pressed like butterfly shape on it. And I'd like to try and see if I can also press in something like a night blooming jasmine flower or like something jasmine scented, as though like something would be safe to eat, but like something that like feels
I'll say
to her.
as the idea comes to you, you find yourself slowly coming to grips with lucidity in this weird dream space. You certainly can
like manipulate,
yeah, put something together.
Because I feel like I would always have something either scented with or like preserved night blooming jasmine. I feel like that's something I would always have.
Mm-hmm.
And I will hold it out to Jiren. Whatever happens, take this. Maybe it'll help you anchor to yourself, to what remains of this place, to who you are. And if it doesn't while you are in this state, it'll take you someplace where I can find you again. And I can bring you to your sister because you can say it yourself. I'm not carrying messages for the dead anymore.
She takes it. She regards it. And she gently peels off the jasmine flower. And you see her give it a little shake. And it takes the form as though it were a butterfly of jasmine flowers. And you see her place it onto her shoulder, where it takes root and becomes like a little part of her. And she eats the cookie.
Mm-hmm. Let that guide you, whatever happens next. Whatever's left, I will find you. We are not done. And you are not done. You hear me, Jiren?
She turns away from you slightly. And you see as she takes on once again the full visage of the Scion. But that little flower, that little butterfly remains. And she turns back toward you for just a moment. Goodbye, Ella. And waves a hand. And in a flash.
And I don't say it back. I'm not saying goodbye yet.
You awaken. Back in the spring wild. It's like you were never gone, but you know that you were, and you know that she's coming.
Y'all get up, we got trouble.
And that is where we are ending for today, tonight, this right now.
Monster!
Ella gets the sad ones.
Why always so? Oh my God.
I was like bumming you out, I don't know. Y'all,
so rude.
Thank you so much for smashing that goal once again. You killing it. You rock.
Yeah, thanks, I guess.
As always, tune in next week next show. Who knows if we have one next week? Tune in next show for, you never know, for the final confrontation with the Scion of Spring. It's going to be very exciting. And also, bye.
Bye.